An alarming report has revealed that more than half of 7 to 11-year-old children in England cannot swim 25 metres unaided. The report also found many schools are failing to teach children to swim to an adequate and safe level. The report was produced by the swimming governing body, the ASA, and Kellogg's, and is calling for the government to act to ensure that adequate time is set aside for children to learn to swim. The ASA points to councils such as Merton in London, who in a census on learn-to-swim rates amongst children last year finished in the bottom 5 councils in England. The results shocked the authority into action.
When we received the information back and the feedback that in fact we were one of the lowest boroughs in swimming uptake for our little ones, it was actually a rock on your heels moment, like, oh my goodness, how has this been allowed to happen? And we just had to set about redressing what was obviously a big problem.
Schools in the borough, like Cranmer Primary School, have worked hard with the local authority to increase the swimming provision for their youngsters.
So we found at Cranmer that they achieved their swimming, they finished their swimming lessons for school swimming in Year 4, and by the end of Year 4 we actually found that we had many children still not achieving that 25 metres goal in the national curriculum, and thought that we would introduce swimming at a much earlier age. So in Year 2, the summer term, our children now start their swimming. Many of our families here do not do swimming outside of school, so they're coming at it from a very different viewpoint than what many other families would do.
Because of their commitment, the school and local authority have managed to turn around last year's performance in this recent ASA report. The ASA is so worried about the large number of children who cannot swim, especially as the third highest cause of accidental death in children in this country is drowning, that it supports a number of community-led schemes, like this one in Manchester, where the local Sport and Leisure Trust came up with a new approach to ensuring that youngsters could be given the chance to learn to swim.
In Manchester, about 54% of children enter the educational swimming programme not being able to swim. And so we wanted to make sure that we were targeting kids at a very young age before they got to Year 3 or Year 4, so that coming on school swimming wasn't their first experience of getting into the water. For the Manchester area, it was great to have the funding from Kellogg's and the ASA, because without that funding we would have had to have charged for the lessons simply to cover the cost of paying for instructors and paying for pool time. By making it completely free of charge for all those kids, then we took away the financial barrier, so parents weren't having to worry about having to pay for their children to learn to swim.
Whilst swimming is part of the national curriculum and a mandatory requirement for schools, some youngsters are still only receiving 8 hours of tuition, well short of the 22 hours recommended by government. The ASA is calling on the government to request Ofsted to inspect school swimming, and where schools are not meeting their statutory requirement, that swimming should be a priority for the additional PE and school investment to be received by primary schools this September.
Hopefully the report that we've published will make government sit up and notice about the current status of school swimming. But I think it's also important that government instruct Ofsted to inspect school swimming and check on the quality. I would also encourage government to look at the teacher training and what's provided for primary school teachers in training in aquatics. At the moment, the average is 4 to 6 hours on PE, which may not include anything to do with learning to swim. A significant number of children, school swimming is their only opportunity to learn to swim. So if school swimming disappears, there'll be a significant number of young people that will never ever get the opportunity to learn to swim, and also learn about water safety as well. It's not just about swimming front crawl and back crawl, but it's actually learning to be safe in and around water.